Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second of my video series going dark with Mark. Today, we're actually going to talk about a really neat solution called Mailbox Guardians. Now, it's something that ProServeIT has developed. What we've seen through working with our customers that there's been certain patterns that attackers are using to be able to penetrate or infiltrate organizations. And unfortunately, a lot of it has to do with the way that your Exchange Online environment is configured. So basically, what this offer does for you is we look to ensure that your data is secured. We're going to help you prioritize and improve your actions as far as the way that your environment is configured. And most importantly, we're going to start introducing some enterprise-grade security. Today with me, I have George, who is one of our senior consultants in the security realm of ProServeIT. And he's actually going to walk you through some of the process that we go through and show you some interesting facts about what can be seen by an attacker once they've compromised a single mailbox, even as a regular user, a non-administrative user. So George, please take it away.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Mark. So to start, I just like to demonstrate how important security can be in preventing reconnaissance or information gathering from an organization. So today we're going to be performing a reconnaissance attack to capture information about a target environment. Now for reference, just like Mark said, the information that I'm about to capture is being done by a regular user with no administrative privileges whatsoever. Let's just take a look at what we can find. So let's say an employee was phished through their email and the bad actors now have their password. It's also worthy to note that this employee is not using multi-factor authentication. So I'm going to be running a couple of commands to extract information as this employee. In this case, it's Alex Wilbur. So to start, I'm just going to run this command that connects to the tenant, and I'm going to provide the password of the user. All right, now that the password has been saved, let's run another command to dump the information out of the tenant. And we're going to see how quick it is to export this information from an Office 365 environment. All right, you can see it took us 11 seconds to capture information from this tenant. Now, let's take a look at what we can find. Now, as you can see, we've created a web server to be able to view the results in a graphical format. Let's take a look at what we can see. So this is the information that we've captured from this Office 365 tenant. Just by being a regular user, let's take a look at what we can find. So in this specific tenant, there's 33 users, 40 groups, 5 applications being used, and 305 service principal accounts that are accessing the tenant. And you can tell that this tenant's domain name, the type that it's managed and not federated, the capabilities of this tenant, and some of the properties. What else can you find here is you can see all the user accounts that were in the tenant, all their usernames, whether they're enabled or not, their email addresses, the departments that they work out of, and a very interesting one here is the last password change timestamp. Now this can be extremely useful for hackers that want to target an organization. Now keep in mind, this is done just by a single user, and you can take a look at all the information that you can capture just by that single user. You have their mobile device number as well, if they have it on file. And you can obviously tell the account type, whether it was synced or whether it was created in the cloud. And even more than that, you can click on each user and find out a little more information about them. Their UPN, their object ID, email, so on and so forth, as well as all the groups that they are part of. Now, this is extremely important information for a hacker to know so they can know who they're targeting once they want to start the attack. can also filter by groups. So if you want to know all the groups that they have created, maybe you want to take a look at who's part of the finance department to try and attack them first. So if we click that, we can see all the members of the finance department. And these can be our next target that we'd like to attack in case we need to get financial information from the environment, or in case the hacker wants to do some sort of tactic to steal funds or to steal financial information from the environment. They know exactly who to attack and what passwords and what credentials they need. As well as devices, if any of the users have set up their mobile device to access the cloud or their laptop, it gives us the manufacturer, the model, the operating system, so on and so forth of these different types of devices. Now, one very important thing that they can also capture is their directory roles or these admin privileges. Now, again, we ran this as a regular user and we're able to capture who are user account administrators in the tenant, who are directory readers, in this case it's a service principal account, who are global admins, and who is a billing administrator. So any type of admin would show up in here in this report as well. And that would give hackers the ability to, gain information or to capture information from the client to know who their target is or who they're going to attack and maybe extort the client for money. So in this case, they'll probably attack the billing administrator, knowing that they have access to some sort of billing information. And so on and so forth. You can see here all the applications that they use. They've incorporated Salesforce into the environment, all the permissions that are defined into Salesforce user impersonation access in this case, and all the Surface Principal accounts that are created or applications and the accounts. So there's a lot of intrusive information that can be captured just by running this script, and literally in 11 seconds, we have all this information in a graphical format for us to go through. And this is extremely risky, and MFA is extremely important in this case, and it will block this type of attack from happening. So with that, we're gonna walk you through a day in the life of a hacker and talk about what they think, and how they go about it. Now, we've been involved in quite a number of breach investigations in the past. The clients that we've worked with usually want to know three main things. What is the extent of the breach, the events that occurred throughout the breach, and was there any data exfiltration or personal information or data theft? One thing in common amongst all these clients was that they were all using Office 365. Now, the first step for a hacker is to gain someone's password. This can be done in a number of ways, but some of the most common are through a combination of spoofing, phishing, brute force, and malware. Now, for example, spoofing is when somebody tries to impersonate someone else. I'm sure some of you have received an email from an executive at one point requesting to buy them gift cards or to approve an invoice. Well, that is called a spoof attack. They usually target users that are part of the C-suite or the finance department. And that technique, along with phishing or malware, could lead to the compromise of an account. Now, it's worth noting that as we began these investigations, the first thing we noticed was that all the breached accounts were not using MFA. And now we know that if the hacker had their credentials, they could easily sign into the compromised account without any problem. Now, after they successfully harvest the user's credentials, they then proceed to log into the mailbox using IMAP connections. And for those of you that don't know, IMAP is a 30-plus-year-old email protocol which saves a local copy of the mailbox for offline viewing. Now, this can let hackers just sift through the entire mailbox for sensitive information that they can use to extort money from the client. Now, once the hacker has the information they were looking for, they sign back into the compromised accounts from various countries all over the world, like China, Russia, Bulgaria, Nigeria is a common one, so on and so forth, in an attempt to hide their real location. Now, the reason why they sign in again is to set up forwarding rules. Now, these forwarding rules send all received email to the hacker's Gmail account. That way, they can keep track of all the emails that are coming through. Now, all the hacker has to do now is just monitor their Gmail account for discussions of contract negotiations or fund transfers. In one of the cases, the hacker impersonated a third-party company and sent them a $48,000 invoice, claiming to have completed legal services and strategic advice for this client. Now, since the hackers had access to the compromised accounts and their email history, they found a similar invoice in their mailbox and copied the same format to try and trick them into paying it. Luckily, it did not go through. Now, the hackers then delete those emails that they send in an attempt to hide their tracks. And to the client, in this specific case, the forgery appears like an actual reply to an ongoing email conversation they were expecting. And the hacker, impersonating the director of finance, was able to craft a convincing reply about them being in a webinar all day and that they approved the $48,000 invoice. Now, in other cases, the hacker uses the compromised accounts to spread ransomware or a variation of different types of malware. They send a phishing email or a ransomware to thousands of emails in your contact list and any previous email address you've been in contact with. If any of those users type in their credentials in the phishing page or download the ransomware, then the hacker would have had access to all those accounts. It's like a snowball effect after that. Now, organizations risk their reputation and go through financial loss through legal fees, regulatory fines, remediation costs, as well as downtime that they experience trying to recover. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is that anybody could be a victim of cybercrime. It's a matter of when you get hit and not if you get hit. And we're seeing a lot of targeted and non-targeted attacks as well. So it doesn't matter what your business is or how many employees you have. If you have an exposed vulnerability, it will be used and abused. And it can all be done in an automated fashion. And that's it for the demo for this video. And back to you, Mark.
Thank you, George. That was fantastic. So I would just like to point out that, once again, the Mailbox Guardian solution that we have in place today is designed to help you protect yourself from the items that were exposed in today's webinar and the video series. The products and solutions that we have in place are designed to be able to not only educate you as to what your threat exposure is, but also to provide you with the knowledge and the ability to be able to fix and repair them, or of course, we can help you with that as well. Mailbox Guardians is an engagement that right now, if you're interested in, you can email us at cloud@ProServeIT, and we'll be glad to assist you. If you have any additional questions or if you require any additional information, please feel free to reach out to us and we will answer your questions. Thank you and have a great day.